Hey guys, this is Bruce. Welcome to Convocourses, where we're going to be talking about open topics today. Anything related to cybersecurity, GRC, how to get in this field. Just really open topics. Any questions that you guys have, I'm all ears. I do this about once a week. If you're interested in joining, I get all these questions on TikTok, on YouTube, on email and stuff. And if I'm answering one question, unless it's from like a paid student or something, I'll take the time to talk to them. But if I'm getting like hundreds of different questions and stuff, I can't possibly answer them all. The best way for me to answer them is to answer it to everyone, because a lot of times people have the same questions over and over again. So that's what we're doing here in this weekly session that we're doing. And I'm trying to do these more often, more lives. If you join me on YouTube, on Facebook, and on Twitter, you'll see me doing more lives than I do like on TikTok. TikTok is really just a once a week thing. But let me get into this. I already got some people joining me. Thank you guys on TikTok for joining me early. Somebody says, I want to know the telltale sign as an Asian woman is using. Oh, what are the telltale signs if a woman is using you for your green card? Oh man, that's nothing to do with cybersecurity. And I want to answer this so bad. I want to answer that question super bad, but I have to keep this. I got to keep this a buck. What you can do, Black First, is ask me that. Send me an email and ask me that question, and I'll answer it on my other channel. Okay, because I think yeah. Just send it to me there, because I got to keep this. I got to focus. I want to answer that question though. Let me see. Somebody said, I am me 7861 says, do you know of any high paying jobs with SQL certificates only? Yeah, actually, I could tell a story about this. So I was stationed in, how much can I tell you? I was stationed in the Middle East, at a military installation, and the highest paid guy there was a DBA. So to answer your question, it's a DBA. So DBAs can make really good money, especially if they have experience, if they really know what they're doing with SQL. That guy put me on some game, and that guy was the highest paid person. He was even higher paid than our management, because he was the only DBA we had, and all data goes to the database, went to the Oracle databases that we had. And we had most of our infrastructure, like the backups, the SIEM devices, the IPS devices. A lot of them were using a database backend to organize all the information. So you had to have a real good SQL person to run that. They were the highest paid person on the whole site, including upper level management. Like, this dude was very valuable. And that guy would just, and at one time I asked him, I was like, man, how do you do this? How you do? And he started telling me the certifications that I need to have and the level of experience that I need to have. So to answer your question, yes, DBAs. Now it just depends on your experience level and where you're working. Some companies and locations are going to pay you more than others. But if you really know SQL, if you want to know which ones to get, I would say Oracle was the top. Oracle, and then probably it'd be Oracle DBA, and there's different levels of Oracle DBA. And then the other one would be MySQL, which also is owned by Oracle. And then the other one will be Microsoft SQL. And those are the ones that come to mind. Those are the top ones, but there's definitely other ones that you could do that are going to be high paying SQL jobs. And I would say that they're very much in demand, because most of the infrastructures run, the back end of a lot of infrastructures are databases, mostly Oracle, but you've got Microsoft in the game, and many other types of databases that are out there. So the answer is yes, and check out DBA, database administrator jobs. Let me see. Joseph says, do you need a college degree for cybersecurity, or certifications? Are certifications enough? Joseph, it really depends on the position. The main thing, if you're coming into this field, is to know the knowledge. There's no There are no exceptions to knowing the information of information technology. There's no exceptions. There's exceptions to experience. You can come into a job doing cybersecurity or IT with no experience. I can even point you out to where to find those. You can find jobs with no college degree. They're not going to be as high paying as the degree jobs. I'm sure you can understand that. Can you come in with just a certification? Absolutely. You need to know the knowledge, because if you have the knowledge in your head and you have that certification, just those two things alone, you can come into an entry level position. Now, you're not going to get paid a lot for an entry level position or a apprentice type position or an internship or anything. You're going to not get paid a lot because they got to teach you, right? But you can use that as leverage. You can stay there for like 1 year or something, get all the experience, put that on your resume. And a lot of times they'll want to keep you if you're a hard worker, if you know your stuff, they'll want to keep you. And they'll even, sometimes I've had organizations pay for my degree, pay for my certifications and stuff. So to answer your question, yes, you can get a job with just a certification. And this has come from somebody who's seen it happen, So if you want to get in some of the certifications to get, that'd be my natural. I mean, if I were you, that would be my next question, would be what certifications should I get? The ones that if you're entry level, probably be Security Plus. A plus, if you really don't know anything, if you have no idea, you're coming in from scratch, you really don't know nothing, A plus certification from CompTIA. If you are, you're a geek, you've been doing this for a while, you've built your own server, you have your own web server, you're a nerd, you're a geek, you've been doing this, you're the guy people come to fix their computer. If you're that guy, Security Plus. Yeah, do Security Plus, and Security Plus is extremely marketable. It's a very good entry level cybersecurity certification. You're not going to walk in the door and make 6 figures like some people say you're going to do. You got to come. There's 6-figure people. If you're coming in off the street, like something special is going on. If you're making 6 figures, like if you're making 6 figures, like from the jump, then something special is going on. But normally you don't start off making. I'm just being honest with you. There's a lot of people, and to be honest, 6 figures is not a big deal these days. So you can get from here to there. To answer your question, do you need a degree to get in cybersecurity? You do not. There are positions that don't require a cybersecurity degree, but if you want to make big money, if you want to get to that 6-figure and above mark, you got to get it. At some point, you're going to have to get a degree. So that's my 2 cents, I would say, based off of my own personal experience. Che from YouTube says, literally just learned my Splunk Core user cert. Just earned my Splunk Core user cert. Can I apply for an SOC position? Can I apply for SOC? Yeah, you can apply for SOC positions without a Splunk cert, but that Splunk certification is huge, brother. That's a huge certification now, because the U.S. government is really leaning hard on Splunk, and they have been for the last few years. So yeah, man, that Splunk certification right away, I would put that on your resume, and put it right up on top, because Splunk is a huge keyword. If you know that one, like the job I'm at right now is actually I'm having to know Splunk, so more Splunk than I do, my man. But so you put that on your certification, and don't just limit yourself to a security operations center. Like, expand your horizons, man. Look at everything. You know what I mean? Like, what I mean to say is, like, put it on your resume, and don't be like, have blinders on and just say, oh, I only want to be a security operations analyst or whatever. No, there's lots of other things you can do. And there's lots of other positions and organizations who really want a Splunk certified person. So just open your horizons by just putting it on the top of your resume. I mean, on the very top of your resume. As a matter of fact, let me see if I can show you guys. I'm going to show you guys my real LinkedIn page here, and I'm going to show you what I would do if I had a Splunk certification. So let me just take you here. Let me just get rid of some of the people just popping up here. I don't have my damn glasses on, man. I'm getting old. My eyes are not what they used to be, man. It sucks, man. Getting old sucks, man. I'm telling you. But for the physical body, it freaking sucks. But Definitely doesn't suck with experience and in life and everything. Okay, anyway, so what I would do if I were you, so in addition to putting it on my resume and putting it everywhere, see this top part right here on LinkedIn? And you can do this with every single place, by the way, like Indeed, on Dice, on everywhere. Put it right up here. Like, see all these keywords? I put these up here for a reason, because a lot of times people are looking for this, and they're not looking for ArcSight no more. They're looking for Splunk. So you would put Splunk right up here, right underneath your name, and then there's a portion where you could put your like main features, and you put them there. So you would go to, and if you don't have this, you can go to add a section, and then you'll be able to add it here. And then I think what you have to do is go here, and then you would put it right here in the headline piece. See that right there? You put that keyword right there. As a matter of fact, watch this. Let me show you what I would do if I were you. As a matter of fact, this is what you do right here. You go Splunk, because I now know a little bit of Splunk. So I can do this. I'm just gonna put that there. Boom. That's what you need to do right there. And then you also need to put it, of course, in your skills. In here, there's a place where you can put your skills, and then there's a place where you need to put it in your experience. So that's what you need to do if you want to put that on your resume and get jobs for that. But to answer your questions, yes, you can apply for positions with SOC, but I would expand it. If I were you, I would just look for any job, any position that's offering that requires a Splunk guy, because now you're the man. Okay, let me see what else. So somebody said, this is what I really love about this community, because I got some people here who really know what they're talking about, who put you guys on some game. Now listen to this. We were just talking about DBAs and how to get into it, and somebody asked me the question of, I have an SQL certification, or if I get as SQL certifications, what jobs can I get that make 6 figures? And that was their question. So Sea Turtle said, Sea Turtle Mining, that's the name right there. He said, don't aim for just the SQL. Add it to your learning query language. Add to it by, oh, sorry, man, I can't read. Add to it by learning query languages so that you move forward in data science as a data scientist. Yeah. Another thing you might want to add to your skill set is prompt engineering. That's learning AI. And then I would also get deeper into one database. Like I would learn Oracle. So I would do that if I were you. Let me see other questions here. Somebody said, I wasn't in comm or IT, but how do I get back into DoD cyber? How do I get back into DoD cyber? I need more context from you, my man. I wasn't in comm or IT. Do you mean that when you were in the military, you weren't in comm or IT, but you want to get back into DoD cyber? Is that what you mean? I'll answer that question when you give me some more context of what you mean. Dan the driving man. What the hell? How you doing, man? It's been a while. This guy, man, me and this guy, we've been talking to each other for years online. It's crazy. Bruce, great to see you. I'm in St. Louis, Missouri. Man, stay safe out there. Drive carefully, Dan. Let me see. Sea Turtle said that leads to threat hunting and incident response. You're referring to the Splunk and SOC stuff. Yeah. So Splunk actually in cybersecurity it's huge. It leads into so many other things. So you got to expand yourself out, not just SOC, but there's cybersecurity. Okay. Let me break this down. So if you have a Splunk core certification, besides security operating centers, analyst, like let's take that one position. If you are a security operations center analyst, you've got cybersecurity analysts who are usually the guys on the front line looking at all the data on the screen and stuff, and who are using Splunk and ArcSight and all these other SIEM tools. You got them. You've got threat hunters, just like C Turtle Mining just said, incident response, incident handling. You've got forensics, actually network forensics kind of ties into the, because a lot of those the forensics, digital forensics guys will lean on the Splunk dudes to pull data and pull that data in and figure out what's going on. So there's many different aspects of what you want to look into when you get that Splunk core certification. So that's actually a really good one to have. Let me see here. Let me answer some more questions coming from. Let me see. Will your Convocourses prepare me for a career in GRC as a GRC analyst? It will give you great context. Now that brings me to a great segue into what I want to talk to you guys about a little bit. If you guys didn't know, I run a site called Convocourses. For those of you who have no intention of investing in yourself, that's fine. You are welcome here. But for those who are willing to take the next step, I've got tons of courses. I got free stuff. I got downloadables. I've got all kinds of things. And Al is asking me about Convocourses preparation. So one of my best courses is called Foundations, Risk Management Framework, Information System Security Officer, Foundations. And this is for GRC. This is specifically for your government GRC work. And I'm telling you from the perspective of somebody who's doing the job, what you need to do from a practical perspective, what you need to know, how to prepare for it, everything. This is for somebody who has some background in information technology, who has something under their belt, and they're trying to transition into GRC work. This is walking you through what's called NIST 837 in a very practical way. I'm explaining all the resources you need. I'm explaining documents that you need to do. I'm explaining real world incidents. I'm explaining the actual interview you might have to do. And there's an audiobook. There's a 6-hour audiobook that's downloadable, that's summing up, that has everything in here. And I'm still adding to this. And at some point, I'm going to do a complete rewrite and update to this whole thing. But right now, it's still good, man. It's still out there. If you guys are interested in it, like there's a free trial that you can mess around with if that's something you want to do. But the answer is yes. If you are really serious about this, it's going to walk you through a practical explanation of what you do as a government GRC person, as we call it, Information System Security Officer. And you have to know something called the NIST 837. And that's accompanied by another course that I have that goes into the actual families of the security controls and what the documents that you do with that one. That's a much longer course that I still am adding to. And I'm building on another one where it's talking about the assessor, the security control assessor piece. So the whole gambit of everything you need is what I'm talking about from a government GRC. GRC, for those of you who don't know, is governance, risk, and compliance. It's getting really, really big right now. I mean, but I've been doing it before it was called GRC. So I know like how literally what you're supposed to do in this field. And as a matter of fact, that's what I do right now. I'm an information system security officer right now. So that's my job. So yes, the answer is yes. All right, let me see if I can answer another question since we're on the topic of information system security officer. For a new information system security officer, what would be the best way to learn the NIST 800 process, specifically how to apply controls and write implementation statements? So the best way to learn, let me give you guys a couple of resources. So the best thing you can do is use a resource on the NIST 800s page. There's a couple of things that you need to look at. One is NIST 853. And there's a really good site. Let me just show you that site real quick. NIST 800. Let me see if I can find it real quick. NIST 53A, and there's a really good resource I use all the time for this, and I'm going to show you guys in a second. Yeah, here it is right here. Let me switch my screen real quick, and I'll show you what I mean. So this is the site right here. If you type in NIST 853, you'll find this site and a bunch of downloadables that you can use to learn this stuff. And let me see. Let me switch cameras. Bear with me real quick. So here's the site. All you do is, if you want to find this, just type in NIST 800. NIST 853. Man, this is not. Man, I really tried to fix this for TikTok, and I apologize for this. This looks terrible. This looks terrible. Oh man, TikTok. Sorry about that. But anyway, so if you want to see my screen, just go to YouTube, man. But this is NIST 853. So this is all the controls. And so let me just give you an example of what I mean, of how you can actually do implementation statements. You can go here, and let's take AC1, which is access control policies and procedures. This right here tells you the template of what is supposed to be, what the organization is supposed to do, right, Javier? So once you know what they're supposed to do, you're going to put that in an implementation statement of how this applies to that specific organization. Now, if they're not doing these things, then you have to document that. And that's the name of the game. The implementation statement is pointing to what we're doing. And if we're not doing it, of course, we would have to put some response, some risk response in there. Risk response might be a plan of action and milestone saying we're going to do it at some point, but right now they don't have the funds and other resources to do it, but we're working on it or something. I mean, you wouldn't put it in that informally, but that's it in a nutshell. So what kinds of things in AC1 would you need to have? You need develop a policy that develops that is disseminated to the following personnel, like this is defined by the organization, and it is going to address the purpose, the scope, and the commitment to actually doing the access control policy. And what is it going to have in it? Let me break down what you're going to have in that access control policy. That control policy would be a summarization of all of these AC controls. It would summarize the account management, the principle of least privilege, separation of duties. It would summarize these things, the things that apply to you. Obviously, if you guys don't have wireless, you wouldn't put that in. You just put like, we don't use wireless, or if you don't have remote access into that particular system, you wouldn't put that. You would put it's tailored, right? So you only put what applies to your organization. So that is how you would. That's one of the best ways to do the implementation statement, is go here. Now, another thing you can do, Javier, is you can use I'm just going to do a shameless plug here. So what I have is a course that talks about this very thing you're talking about. I talk about the implementation statements, the plan of action and milestones, and a lot of other stuff that you how you would do this in this. I do it in a couple ways. Like I do it in this book right here, and in this book you could find it on Amazon. There's a whole series of books, and then here's the audio book of it, and it's walking you through in layman's terms how you actually do this. This one's not as expensive as the actual walkthrough. I actually have a walkthrough of how to do this as well. And if you're not sure about this, you can go ahead and take the introduction of this. Signing up for this, by the way, you'll get access to my newsletter where I'm telling you guys about jobs on a weekly basis. Trying to do them now on a weekly basis. But here's a breakdown of the actual control families, everything I was just talking about, but it's a video. It's literally, 10, 12 hours of videos on some of the key controls that you need to go through. And I'm still adding to this. When I'm done with this, I don't know how much. It's going to be like 20 hours long once I'm done. I mean, it's a beast. I mean, I kind of overdid it with this, and I'm kind of regretting how much I have to put into it. It's so much stuff. It's so many controls. There's like 20 some odd control families, and I've been putting 4 hours into each control family, which I probably shouldn't have done. But it's a lot of stuff, and that's what I would do for an implementation statement. Just number one, like the source material is the best place to go to, of course. I mean, even stuff I write is based off the source material. I'm just explaining it in a way that makes more sense and from a perspective where it's more practical. And I'm going into the risk responses of the organization, how you would word things, downloadables, things like that as well. And you can always contact me if you are a paid student. Contact me and say, hey, Bruce, like, how would you word this? Can you give me some resource about this specific? Here's what's going on. Without going into any sensitive information. My students will also contact me without going into anything sensitive. They'll say, here's the situation I have. Here's what's going on, and then I'll give them a specific answer to their question. You know what I mean? So that's another. I don't know how long I'll be able to do this directly with every single student, but right now that's what I do. All right. Thank you for that question, Javier. I probably sold a couple of courses on that one based off of your question, so I appreciate that. Actually, I'm going to answer some questions on TikTok. I appreciate you guys. I've got a lot of people on TikTok, so let me see. I'm going to answer some of these questions. I get so many of these that it's a lot. Let me go to the top. Oh, my Lord, I got so many questions here. This is wild. How many questions I'm getting on TikTok? It's ridiculous. Wow. Oh, man. How is it that this many people are interested in GRC? Times have changed. Okay, let me see. Daniel says, do you need to know how to make secure apps to be in cybersecurity? So okay, let me see if I understand your question. So Sea Turtle is saying, okay, maybe he's already answered that question. It looks like he did. Okay, it looks like he already answered that question. Thanks, Sea Turtle. I appreciate that. I'm starting a new program to get skills, to get certifications, A+, Security Plus, Network Plus, ITIL, since I'm new. Great start. The best certs that you listed there, the most marketable ones, is Security Plus and ITIL. Those are very marketable. When you put that on your resume, people will notice it. A+ is really good as an entry level. Like if you really don't, it was one of my certifications, I believe, very first certification. Thoughts on cybersecurity boot camps. My thoughts, I get this question quite a bit. My thoughts on cybersecurity boot camps is that most of them are too expensive, and you can't cram 4 days worth. You're going to spend $5 to $20K on a 3 to 5 day course, with a guy like myself who comes there and teaches you directly and gives you all of these documents and stuff for you to, to go through and everything. Is it worth it? In my mind, having done some of them before, paid for by the companies I work for, I would say no. I'm just going to keep it real with you. If you've already done it, great, but is it worth, are boot camps worth it? If you're going to spend, if you spend $2,000 on it, maybe, right? If you spend $2,000-3,000, then that's probably worth it. It depends on what you're learning. But if you're spending like 5 figures on it, I would say absolutely not. It's better to just go ahead and get a degree, man. Like if you're gonna spend 5 figures on it's better to just go ahead and get a degree. Associate's degree would be better than that, to be honest with you, because with an associate's from a community college, you would be able to do an internship somewhere. An internship is going to give you experience. It's going to give you more hands-on internal experience of the organization and the technology. And while you're getting paid, you can get a certification that would, so if it's, it depends on the cert, but my opinion of cybersecurity boot camps is if it's under 5K and it's teaching you Security Plus, I would say that might be worth it, especially if you have experience and you're just trying to speed through the process or whatever. But another thing is this: you can do this on your own. You don't need to spend 4 figures. You can literally, You can just buy a book and study hard. You know, like what all this really takes is discipline. And you can't buy discipline. You can, I suppose you could spend enough money to where you feel obligated to complete it. I mean, that's psychologically, but what you really need is self-discipline to sit down there. You can buy a $20 book. If you're doing an A+, a Security Plus, buy a $20 book, $40, $50 book, and then just study the hell out of it and then pass that certification. Now, if you're looking for the perspective of the teacher, like if you just want to sit down, have a mentor, somebody to mentor you and navigate you through this, you really don't know anything, but you're trying to fast track, I can see why you would want a boot camp. I can understand that, and that's understandable, but I would not spend more than 4 figures on a boot camp for security for a certificate. That's just my 2 cents. If you're going to spend upwards of $10,000 or more dollars, you should just go get a degree. It's going to take you more time. It's going to take you more discipline. It's going to force you to go through the whole process of learning, but you'll be able to do apprenticeships. You'll be able to do internships. You'll be able to put on your resume, I'm working on a master's degree. I'm working on a bachelor's degree. I'm working on an associate's degree in cybersecurity and IT or whatever. It would be much better for you. So that's just my 2 cents on it, and take it for what it's worth. I'm just some guy who's been doing this for 20 years, but don't listen to me. I'm an ignorant savage. Okay, let me see. I got some more questions here from YouTube, from the tubes. Javier said, thank you, sir. I'll look into your course. New government is so here. Oh man, and you're gonna definitely benefit from my course then, if that's the case. And let me see. Hey, Bruce, thanks for the info. No problem, Navi. Thanks for joining me. JP says he's talking to Javier. He says vulnerability scans will also provide answers to how to mitigate risks by providing instructions on how to implement controls. STIG Viewer will provide benchmarks with instructions. Yeah, that's a great another great resource for implementation statements. And the implementation statement is these are short summaries of what your organization is doing to install certain security features or implement certain security features within your organization. So it can be a Linux system, a Mac OS system. It can be a Microsoft system. It can be an endpoint device like a workstation, a laptop, or whatever. It can be a server. It can be a whole bunch of servers. It can also be processes. It can be like your personnel security process, like PS2 is personnel security. Like what processes does your organization use whenever a guest comes into the facility, whenever maintenance comes into the facility? What processes do you have to do? Do they have to get a letter from the upper level management? What do they have to do to get in here and be authorized to come in and have access to certain things? So you're just explaining in a summary what is going on. Like our organization for PS2, for example, PS-2 is personnel security, I believe. And you would say something to the effect of, our organization requires all personnel, contractors, employees, temporary workers to go through our authentication process, our authorization process to be able to access or have be anywhere near our information systems. And that process is A, B, C, and D. And then you can upload a sample document into your system or refer them to a sample document. Like you would put an artifact in there, an artifact meaning evidence of what you do. So that's kind of, Javier, that's kind of what you would do in an implementation statement. But if you're kind of lost on how you would word that, you can use the organization's own documentation and summarize it. You can use, just like JP says, you can use the vulnerability scan information. Like the scan information tells you how this should be implemented, and you could put a snippet of how it is implemented, if it is implemented that way. And you could put a summary of, you could talk directly to the firewall guy. Let's see if you had like SC7 and you had to explain the firewall implementation. You're not a firewall guy. So what I do is I go to the subject matter expert. I go to the firewall guy and say, hey man, like here's what's going on. I need a short implementation statement of how we have the rules set up to protect our boundary. You know, what kinds of rules do we have in place or whatever. So you talk to the subject matter experts, another way that you can get the implementation statements. Hope that helps. Let me see here. More about sticks. Okay, let me answer some more TikTok questions. A lot of great information from Sea Turtle Mining. Thank you so much, sir, for your. I love hearing. Sometimes I'm learning also from some of the old heads in here, some of the more experienced people in here. He says, don't stick with just Splunk though. Explore data lakes and query languages around that. Yeah. Daniel says, if he's going to cybersecurity certs, I'm pretty sure he knows how to edit in a link page. Okay. He is very focused, answering one at a time question in detail, though on YouTube and TikTok. Okay. Well, the reason why I answer these questions like this, I know it's for some people, it's I talked about this. I did a TikTok video that blew the hell up, where I was talking about how people can't teach because they assume everybody knows everything. They assume everybody's on the same level of knowledge. Everybody knows how to edit a link. Everybody everybody doesn't know how to edit a link. And normally when somebody asks a question, 50 other people have the same question and they're at different levels of experience. So what I do is I'll take my time to actually answer that question because I'm trying to answer it for 50. If I get one question, normally 100 other people, thousands over time, like when I post these videos, thousands of people over time are asking me the same question over and over and over again. So what I'll do is I'll go into great detail, start to finish, and add context around it and explain what's going on. That way, everybody at different levels can understand it. You know, if you know how to if you know how to edit links, great, good for you. You know, but some people don't. And then you might get some other nugget of information that was helpful to you, like what is a good keyword to put in there, or ArcSight is not as good as Splunk anymore, or whatever. So everybody's going to take little bits and pieces out of what I'm saying that's going to benefit them. So that's kind of how my theory behind teaching is that everybody's at different levels, and you got to go to where they are. You got to take the time to go to speak from that person's. That was one of the good things. I know I'm getting in trouble for this, but one of the dope things about Donald Trump, okay, I'm not a Trump supporter, by the way. Okay, let me just put that out there. I don't care if you unsubscribe to me, hate my guts after this, but I'm not a Trump supporter. Let me just put that out there. But that motherfucker, that guy, okay, I'm going to kind of keep it PC here. That man, what he was really good at is he was really good to speaking to his audience and speaking at their level. He would speak, and that's why a lot of people would say, man, he tells it like it is, because that's how they really thought. He was saying things that they were too afraid to say. He was speaking at their level, and they linked up with this dude. That dude was a magnificent. He was really good at talking to his audience. Say what you want about him, but the genius of that guy is that he would not use big words. He would, unlike Obama, who is an incredible speaker. He is a brilliant man. The man was the first black president, editor in chief at Harvard's journal, because he was really good at writing and really good at putting stringing words together. He's a great orator. He's going to go down in history as one of the greatest orators ever, up there with probably Abraham Lincoln. When you hear the man speak, you're just like, what the hell? This man's a great speaker. But the problem is that the man's vocabulary is so big that sometimes he loses parts of the audience. So he's speaking up here, and you got to kind of catch up with him. But Trump would speak at an 8th grade level, and everybody can understand exactly what he's saying. And you can't mince words. Like it's very clear, it's very clear what he means. And so you got to speak to the power of that. Speaking at a level, everybody, the common denominator is that everybody is understanding what you're saying. And you can always go deep here and there, but you don't want that to be your whole, you don't want to lose too many people as you're speaking. Like, you have to go where people are. So, okay, let me see here. Dan, the driving man. How you doing, man? Prompt engineer is basically a skill of just asking what you want. I would say it's a little bit more complicated than that, but yes. I'm still learning it myself. Let me see. I have a problem installing Oracle now. Keep giving me an error message, and my teachers are clueless too. Google the error messages and go on Oracle's knowledge base. They have a knowledge base of a lot of the errors. What sucks is when you can't find the errors in their knowledge base. Then you're like, you got to go talk to somebody about that. Because let me see. I'm going to answer one more question on TikTok, and then I'll go back to YouTube. Let me see. Somebody said, Sea Turtle Mining says, what's your LinkedIn? I will send you mine, and you can understand why I'm commenting the way I do. Yeah, I'll do that. Okay, for anybody and everybody on YouTube, on Facebook, wherever, feel free to join me. If you go to LinkedIn, let me just show you my screen real quick. If you go to LinkedIn and you type in Bruce space CISSP space RMF, you'll see my LinkedIn page. If you want to join me, go for it. I'll post short little clips of this, and I'll post them on LinkedIn and stuff. And you can join my group there. And my newsletter is hot. Like, I'm posting jobs and stuff all the time, and gaining a huge base of employers and stuff where I can where you guys can get job offers. But here it is right here. This is what it looks like. This is one of my pages. So if you want to join me, feel free to join me. And oh man, so I can't put this. Here it is right there. This is what it looks like right here on TikTok, guys. So yeah, feel free to join me. Just type in Bruce space CISSP space RMF, and you will find me. But let me answer some more questions here. Open topics today. I don't have anything. Sometimes I'll get on here and teach a solid 30 minutes of NIST 800 or something like that. But today I'm just trying to keep it open. I got a lot of questions to answer. Let me see here. Let me see if I can answer some more questions on YouTube. Javier says, I came from desk support role. Awesome, man. Like, that's where I started. It's, in my opinion, one of the best places to start is a desktop support role, because you have experience with customers. You have experience with how organizations are supposed to be handle ticketing, how it handles incident response. You get you're getting a view of what's supposed to happen in an organization. And then you have the technical side where you got hands-on. And so I found like people in a desktop role who are coming from that world, rather than your system administrators or from your Linux guru type guys. The desktop support people tend to be way more humble and way more willing to learn, whereas Linux guys, system administrators, and people like that tend to know everything. Not all, but many. They tend to know everything. Like, what, you can't tell them nothing because they already know everything. Let me see. Let me answer another question on TikTok. Great conversation. I appreciate all you guys. Thank you guys for joining me, especially some of you guys who've been in this field for a long time. I really appreciate you so much. Dan says, please tap your screen, hit that like button. Thanks, Dan. I appreciate you, man. I might do a live on the other channel at some point, by the way. I just kind of been reluctant to do it because I don't know how I'm losing so many people. So much audience has left me after I'm not going to go into it, but if you already know that other channel, you already know what the deal is. Let me see. These streams are available on TikTok and YouTube. Thank you, Dan. I appreciate you, man. Love you, man. I love you, man. You're great. You're a great dude. Let me see. You want to see something cool? Change the HTML display elements on the reCAPTCHA box. And okay, I don't know what that means. I don't know where you're going with that one. Out of context. NIST 800. Let me see here. I'm trying to. I just enrolled in cybersecurity. I'm just not at that level yet. Yeah, everybody's at different levels. You know what I mean? You got to start where you are. I'm not, in cybersecurity, I would say the best place to start from cybersecurity is from a place of information. If you are an information technology person, you have a very well-rounded. You coming from like Javier. Javier is coming from an IT support help desk desktop support position, and that's one of the best places to come from, because now you know what the organization is supposed to do. At a grassroots level what is actually happening to clients, to systems, to endpoint devices, to servers. You have a very good insight into what happens in an organization and how IT works. Basic IT fundamentals, you got it. And that's kind of where you want to start with cybersecurity. That being said, I do know a lot of policy guys who are not hands-on with IT, but they still have to know some parts of IT. Like, you still have to know the knowledge. You still got to know how computers work. You still have to know how networks work. You still have to know how cloud. Like, you have to have some basic understanding. Even if you don't have hands-on, you have to know the knowledge. There's no exceptions. But so one of the best places to start is a help desk job, but you don't have to start from the help desk, but you do have to know the knowledge, the basic. And I would say that things like CompTIA A Plus has a really good, solid foundations to start. The terminology and all that kind of stuff is covered in CompTIA A Plus certification. And if you want to get into IT because you see how secure it is, you see how much money people are making, you see people winning, and there's one thing you could do, and people don't talk about this often, and they really should, is something called project management. Just Google it. Type in PMP, project management, and I can tell you what it is, but these guys make like up to 6 figures, depending on what state, of course, what organization you're working for and what experience level you have. They're making upwards of 6 figures. But what they do is they're managing our processes, because a lot of times in cybersecurity and desktop support and engineering, scientists, we're working on these giant projects, and we have to work with one another. I have to, cybersecurity guy, me as an information security officer, I have to work with the firewall group. There's a whole other group that manages the firewall. I've got to work with the security operations center. I don't do that. That's this other group over here. I got to work with the IT support specialists, the guys who are on the ground fixing the computers, managing the servers, and so I got to work with upper level management. So we need a project manager to kind of navigate who does what when, and that it's a very important role that pays really well, and you don't have to actually be hands-on. You don't really have to know IT to do it. So look into that if you really want to get into. If you're a teacher and you're fed up with all this stuff that you got to deal with and you're stressed out, if you're in a healthcare industry and you're like, man, how can I need to change up, like this career feels too stressful, I'm ready to change my career path, look into project management, because it does pay well, and it's going to be in demand for a very long time, because we as a species are really heavily relying on information, and we have these huge systems that have to be managed. We have to manage the security on them. We have to manage the infrastructure of these things. And a project manager is there to say, okay, what are we doing first? What's next? Do we have dependencies? where do we need to do? They're the ones running the meetings a lot of times and getting us all in line so that we're kind of all going in the same direction to maintain these systems. So I hope that helps you guys. Let me see. I got another question. Awesome. Tom says, awesome information here. Thanks for making these videos for everyone. I appreciate it, Tom. Appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you for watching. I appreciate everybody who shows up here. Let me see. I'm looking for some questions gonna help more people. Let me see here. Let me see. I'm gonna answer some more. Is online college enough? So if you're taking an online course, just make sure it's from an accredited college, because there's a lot of online colleges that are not accredited. It doesn't matter if it's online or not, but what does matter is that it's an accredited college. An example of an accredited college that's mostly online, I believe mostly online, is WGU is one that's online. It's got an accelerated course. I believe their prices are pretty good. Another one that's online, that's in like accelerated adult type, it's geared towards working adults, is a University of Phoenix, which is one that I went to. Is it a high price? Yes. Do they charge too much? Yes. Is it a corporation? Yes. But it's an accredited college. The ones you probably want to avoid are, if it's really, really cheap, you probably want to check if it's an accredited college, because some of them are not. And they're, I would avoid those. That said, there are some really good community colleges that are online. Like, people crap all over community colleges, but man, IT world don't care what college you went to, man. It just needs to be accredited. That's it. They're not like, oh, this guy didn't go to Harvard. There's not enough people doing this work. So they don't give a damn if you went to Harvard or Yale. Nobody gives a damn. I don't give a damn. If I'm doing a resume on somebody, I'm like, wait a minute. Did he go to college? What college was it? Brown? No, we need people from Yale. No, man. I look at, is it a BS, an AS, or an MS degree? Cool. It's an AS degree in IT. Great. All right. That box is checked. That's what we do. I'm telling you, I mean, will it give you some kudos if you went to Harvard? Yes. Like, it'd be like, wow, this motherfucker went to Harvard. That's pretty cool. Next, like that. We just want people to do the work. That's it. Somebody said, yo, what is it like being a cybersecurity person? It depends, sir, on what type of cybersecurity job you do. I've done several different roles. I can speak very intimately and deeply on those things, but there's I would say there's three main areas. One would be highly technical. One would be policy work, GRC, that's stuff I do. And then another one will be like a management type position. Those are three different levels. I would say the technical side, I've done the technical side before. And in some ways, the technical is a little bit more chill as far as emotionally. Emotionally, it's a little bit more chill, but technically, it's more challenging. You have to know whatever system you're on, whether you're doing a firewall or an IPS or an IDS, an intrusion protection system or an intrusion detection system, or if you're on a security operations center and you have to look at all these packets and break the packets apart and stuff like that. Very, very technical, and you got to be on your game all the time. You're always studying, always being on top of what's going on, because it's constantly evolving and changing in that. But the emotional side, is stressed out. The policy side, the stuff I do, and the manager side tends to be a little bit more stressful because it pays better. You don't have to be as on top of the technical side. You learn the laws, you learn the policies and stuff, and then pretty much you're good. But the challenge is dealing with different levels of attitudes. You have to deal with not just different levels of knowledge. So you got to be able to speak the technical language to the technical people, because you got to talk to them. You got to talk to the C-level executives. You got to be very brief to the point and know exactly what you're talking about, because they don't have a lot of time. And then you got to talk to the managers in different parts of the organization. You got to speak their language. The stressful part comes in when there's a breach, there's a data breach or something. Like that means organization got hacked. It can get very stressful. Or you have a bunch of vulnerabilities coming in and organizations like, hey, why do we have all these vulnerabilities? What's going on? And you got to be able to say, okay, here's what's going on. Here's what we're doing to solve it. I've just talked to these people and they said that they're going to do X, Y, and Z. You got to be very calm. You know, you can't take stuff personally because people get in their feelings when stuff's getting hacked and their livelihoods on the line. They're stressed out. So sometimes they're talking to you in a different kind of way. So you got to be patient. In my experience, it can get stressful, to be honest with you. Cybersecurity can get very stressful. Mm-hmm. Unlike some of the other fields, like if you're a network engineer or if you're a desktop support can get pretty stressful. But if you're doing firewall stuff and you're doing network security engineering or something like that, it's more technical. You're in a closet fixing stuff. People aren't really talking to you, but you gotta really be on your game. Logically meant, like, you know, the technical side is what comes in play. But if you're doing this kind of stuff, it can get stressful. The day-to-day, it's a lot of meetings, it's a lot of talking to people, and stuff like that. So that's what my day is like. It's a lot of meetings, it's a lot of managing plan of action and milestones, managing vulnerabilities, helping to figure out like how we're going to fix stuff. And sometimes people get very emotional about that kind of thing because people's livelihoods and money and time and energy is involved and stuff like. So is it worth it? Yes, it's definitely worth it. I work from home. I make 6 figures. It's dope. And some jobs I've been able to travel, not this job, but I've been able to travel the world and stuff like that. So it's great for what I need right now. Let me see. Brand, let me answer some YouTube questions. What the heck? Brandon says, I can't answer this question, but I think somebody can. He says, hey, Bruce, what's the difference between a JSIG and a risk management framework? So I don't know what JSIG is. A JSIG, I don't know what that is, but a risk management framework, I could tell you all about that. And Tom says, the JSIG is a TSAP information is a TSAP, a TSSAP implementation of risk management framework using the NIST 853 and the NIST 837 to be used in a closed environment. So I think what you're saying is a top secret. Man, I used to work on a system like this, but it was a long time ago. So it's a closed environment. So is a highly sensitive system. So it's another name for highly sensitive system that is using NIST 853 and 853 and 837. Learn something new every day. I didn't know that. Thanks, Tom. And Brandon said, thanks, Tom. I had no idea what that is. You aren't alone. You have to see ISSE who has technical knowledge on implementing security controls. Okay, let me see. Also, the JSIG came out in 2016. Wow, thanks again, Tom. Let me see. Dan, how you doing, man? This dude, man. Thanks for all your support, man. You're a great dude, Dan. Said thumbs up if you're on YouTube. Tom says, I feel A+ certification is the best certification, is the best first certification a person can get. You get a good understanding of the tech and computers so that you have a better, you know how to secure them better. Yes, I would agree with that, Tom. I totally agree with that. As a matter of fact, it was my first certification. So I repeat it over and over again, but it was my first certification. I get a lot of people asking me that question, like, what certification should I get? I'm trying to get in this field. And for me, what you really need to know to get into cybersecurity is you have to have a really good, solid understanding of information technology and how it works. So what the CompTIA A+ does is it's the way that they break out the knowledge is giving you all the common body of knowledge that you have to know to get into IT, period. So cybersecurity is a branch of information technology, if that makes any sense. Like if your foundation of cybersecurity is information technology, because we're securing information technology, so you got to know how it works, like how the RAM works with the CPU, works with the storage. How does the networking work? How do IPs? What kinds of IPs addresses are there? What is a public IP versus a private IP? What's the difference between those? What would be the problem with having a internal system with a publicly available IP address? What would that be the problem with that? You would know that if you went through A+ certification. What is the problem with having any on a firewall? You would know. You don't have to be an expert on firewalls to know the basics of how a firewall works and what are some of the best security practices and the best technical practices of implementing a firewall or implementing an endpoint system or a server. So once you know those things, you can build on different levels and layers of being an IT cybersecurity person. So you want to, just like Tom is saying here, an A+ certification is a very good start. Now, if you already know this, if you're the resident geek, if people are coming to you to clear out their viruses and their malware on their system, you can remove a rootkit from a system. You've built your own gaming servers. You've been doing this for quite some time. You just don't have the titles. Go to a Security Plus. You probably don't, go to a Security Plus. You can probably just go straight to that. Because you already know the terminology. You already know how networking works. You already know how to set up networks. Go to Security Plus and do that. So thank you, Tom. Thanks for that information. It's great information, man. Let me answer some more questions. Hey, just joining. Do you have a degree? Yes, I have a bachelor's degree in information technology from the University of Phoenix, which is an accredited college that is online. And I think I have an associate's degree from the Community College of the Air Force. And I got all those as an adult. Let me see. More questions on TikTok. Thank you guys so much. Somebody said it's stressful doing cybersecurity. Yeah, yes, I can't disagree with that. Stressful is subjective, yes. Is the field easy to get into? That's relative, but I would say compared to some other things, cybersecurity itself there's a learning curve, I'd say. I wouldn't say it was hard, but I'd say that there is a learning curve because you have to know the knowledge. There's a certain level of technical knowledge you need to know. It's not a job you can just, how do I put this? I'm just going to put it to you like this. There's a learning curve, and there's probably anywhere from 6 months to a year of learning before you can even apply to any IT job. Because you've got to learn the basics of information technology first. Now that might take somebody 2 months to learn. Like you could probably get a book, give her a freaking super genius, and you could just read through a book and be like, okay, got it. Or you've already been working on computers for a while. You want to read a couple books about it. Yeah, maybe 2 months if you've been doing this for a long time already. If you've already been working with computers. I noticed like Gen Z is super smart on computers. My freaking kids know how to set up networks. I mean, I'm like, what the hell? Like they know basic stuff, they don't know like subnet masking and shit like that, but they know how to set up, like they can set up. That's something that I don't know, my generation is a little bit dumber on. So it depends on to answer your question, is it easy? I would say overall, no, it's not. It's not, compared to most things, it's not easy, but honestly, it's going to pay you. It is worth it. I would say that. It was absolutely worth getting into. Is it easy? No, it's not easy. No. Can you do it? Yes, you can. You can do it. If I can do it, you can do it. I'm a high school dropout. I have PTSD. I can barely read. I mean, you can see me struggling to read basic things on a screen. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed. I'm good at working with people. I'm good at speaking. I'm good at I'm good at stringing words together. That's for sure. But I'm not a mathematician. I don't know how to. I can barely get my way through programming. I have tenacity. I have patience. That's what that's something I have that most people don't. I'm willing to learn. I'm willing to learn, and that's a big piece of this whole thing. Was this easy to get into? It's not. There's probably 6 months to a year of learning, but once you get in, it's recession proof. I could tell you that much. Let me see. I'm just thinking about getting into. I've been thinking about getting into this for the longest. I'm 30. Is it too late? So I get that question a lot. Don't say that. I'm 32 and I have zero experience with IT. I love this conversation. No, so it's not too late. I get it from people who are 50, who are 60. It's not too late to learn information technologies. It is not too late. This is not like there's levels to this. There's levels to this. It's not too late. Whatever age you happen to be at, it's absolutely not too late. As a matter of fact, we really need all ages. We need Gen Z because, us boomers and Gen Z guys, Gen X guys we're out of here in a few years. I mean, we're out of here one way or another. You know what I'm saying? So Gen Z is going to take the torch. So we absolutely need you guys, Gen Z guys. So start where you are. If you're in high school, start where you are. Start learning it. Crack open a book. Go to Amazon. Type in computer security, how to fix a computer. Like, do it yourself. Take your computer. Start messing around with your own network. If you're older and you're let's say you're 60, 62, and you just like this stuff, man, do it. Do it. Don't what's waste? What are you waiting for? Do it. Do it because you want to do it. It's not too late to get into this. It's absolutely not too late. Is it going to be a learning curve for you? It will be. It will be. Now, if you're trying to get in this for money and you're 62, you're 55, whatever, I would highly recommend that you try to look into project management. Project management pays very well. It's recession proof. You can do some of it remotely. It has a lot of the benefits of what we do, cybersecurity, GRC, information technology. It has a lot of the benefits as far as pay and being recession proof. But the one thing it doesn't have is the 6 months to a year of IT learning that you're going to have to do. It has less of a learning curve. So you can kind of start getting in there. And plus you have, if you're already 55, 60 plus, you already have experience dealing with difficult people. And that's one of the hardest things about cybersecurity is dealing with difficult people. And project managers have to deal with difficult people as well. But you have the maturity that it takes to call somebody on the phone and talk to them like they're a person, which is a lot of IT people don't have that. But, if you happen to be an older person, you have more patience. I've noticed I've worked with millennials, boomers, and Gen X. And I have to say in IT, now this is not to say all boomers and Gen X are great, because some of them are complete assholes. They get their power and it gets to the head and they just destroy everything. I mean, just absolute, what's the word? Twat. I don't know what the word I can't find a good enough word to describe these people. But I've noticed like some of the older people, I have a easier time, especially if the situation's stressful. They're just calm. They're just chill. It's like, okay, let's work this out. What can we do? And they're not freaking out because they've seen way worse situations. So they, it's not a life or death situation. We're just trying to fix this problem. Let's just put our heads together. And I really love working with people like that. But my millennials, a lot of millennials I work with, I don't work with any Gen Z, not many. But the millennials, holy crap! Like some of them panic. They're just something's happened, and they are panicking. They are like, "What the hell are we gonna? Where's this information at? Where are we gonna do?" I'm like, "Yo, like, chill out. Like, let's calm down here. Nobody's gonna die." All right, let me see. Let me answer another question from YouTube. Okay, here's a good question. Victor Davis says, what's the career path for an information system security officer? It's a great question. So let me back it up first and explain. What is an information security officer? Information system security officer, also known as an ISSO. So this is the government version of a GRC policy person, or governance, risk, and compliance person. What these guys do is they're managing the risk and the security posture of an organization. What does that mean? So what I mean is, like, let's say, take any organization, anyone, banks, hospitals, government organizations. These guys are managing very critical information. They're managing your social security numbers, your classified information. They're managing, you name it, right? Very important information is being processed by this organization. Now, they have to protect this information, and they have to protect the systems that are processing, transmitting, or storing this information. And there's a certain level of risk that every organization has to take. If you're a hospital, you have to take the risk of putting, let's say, a page out to have people sign up for their COVID test or whatever. You have to, if you're a bank, you have to have a mobile device so people can log in. There's a certain level of risk, right, for everything. So as an ISO, as an information system security officer, as a GRC person, what you're doing is saying, okay, we have to take a certain level of risk. How do we manage this risk? And it's not you that's making these decisions, by the way. It's the organization, but they're leaning on you to know the policies, the regulations of your industry. Now, if you're in healthcare, HIPAA is something you got to know. If you are in the financial sector, it's Sarbanes-Oxley and stuff like that, auditing, stuff like that. If you're in government, it's something called NIST 800 series, risk management framework. And there's many other ones. There's international standards. There's PCI compliance for Walmart and Target that's protecting credit card information. There's different kinds of policies, governance and risk and compliance things. And these are like codified. They're like in a document that tells you, you must do this, you must do that. You must have multi-factor authentication. You must have, it spells it out. Like it tells you everything you're supposed to do. Me as a GRC person, as an information system security officer, has to know those rules. And every organization has specific rules to meet government, state, and local standards and regulations. So the policies is kind of like our Bible. Like we go through the policies and we're like, okay, what does this organization, what are we supposed to do? We're supposed to have a plan of action, a milestone on anything that's over 80 days long or whatever. We have to fix every single critical control. There's different rules, but we as information system security officers have to do that. Now they're asking, what is the career path of an ISO? The career path of an ISO is the number one, you need to know how computers work. You need to know how computers process, store, and transmit information. You need to know the difference between a CPU, a RAM, random access memory, and storage. You need to know how information goes from point A to point B. You don't have to be a subject matter expert on these things. You don't have to go super deep. You don't have to know how to build computers from scratch. You don't have to be freaking Turing and know how to code. You don't have to, I don't know, I'm not a coder. I'm not a hacker. You don't have to know how to pen test. You don't have to know Nmap. You don't have to know Kali, Linux to, be able to hack systems. I don't have to know any of that stuff. Does it work? Does it help? Yes, it helps to know programming. It helps to know Python. It helps to know, some kind of programming or something like that. But do I have to know it? No, I don't. It's not a requirement of my job. What I do have to know is the basics of how computers work. So the very first step in this path is to understand how computers work. So if you're starting from scratch and you wanted a certification, one of the best things you can do is to get a degree in this, but you don't have to get a degree. Does it help? It absolutely freaking helps to have a degree. But is it required? No, there are positions in information system security officer that don't require a degree, but you have to come with experience. What everything requires, no matter what, is the information. So you have to know how computers work and how networking works. And one of the certifications you can get to do that, if you can't afford a degree, if you're not getting a degree or whatever the case may be, is an A+ certification if you know nothing. And now if you already know something, you're a geek, you're on the help desk, you've been doing it for 15 years, you're trying to transfer into information security officer or GRC work because you really want to get this Security Plus. There's a certification called Security Plus, and it's going to teach you a lot of what you need to know to get your foot in the door. The path is know information technology, then get deeper into the best security practices, and then know whatever security standard that you need. Security standards are things like NIST 853, NIST 837, ISO 27001, PCI DSS, COBIT, Sarbanes-Oxley, SOC 2. There's many. You don't have to know them all. If you're in the government, there's one that you need to know. If you're in healthcare, there's one that you really need to know. If you're in the financial sector, there's one that you really need to know. If you're in retail, whatever organization you're in, you need to know that one. You know, if you're a privacy person in Europe, you need to know GDRP. Is it GDRP or GDPR? GDPR. I think it's GDPR. I don't know them all. So that's the career path. Get the knowledge, know the security best practices, and then know that whatever framework that you're going to be in. And the government, it's NIST 853. Put all that stuff on your resume too. I hope that helps. I go into much greater detail on my free course, by the way. If you go to convocourses.com, there's a free course called Cybersecurity Entry Level. And everything I just said, I go into much greater detail. And I'm telling you, I think it's like 3-hour, 4-hour course, free. And I'm telling you, here's what you need to know at this stage. Here's what you need to know at this stage. Here's what you need to know at this stage. And I'm telling you, here's a resource. You need to go do this. Here's a resource. You need to go this. Here's how you can get experience with this. That's what I'm talking about. Stuff like this, but in greater detail. Like this is for very serious people who are really trying to take the next step, and it's free. So, and the cost is for you to sign up for my newsletter where I offer jobs. So, there's no downside to it. John says, for a green card holder, how can I get a security control assessor job? So, John, great question, by the way. So, John, the reason why you're asking this is because a lot of security control assessor jobs for the government require you to be eligible for a security clearance. I imagine that's why you're asking. And eligibility for security clearance usually requires that you're a U.S. citizen. But the last job that I worked at, I was a risk assessor. So there's different kinds of assessors. All right. So there's the assessor that I was working for Verizon, which is a privately held company. And we had many people who were not American citizens. As a matter of fact, we had people in South America. We had people working in Southeast Asia. We had people working in Europe. And it was a private organization. So we have customers all over the world. And these, not only were they, they weren't even green card holders. They were literally citizens of another country. And we needed them because we needed them to speak other languages. We needed them to interface with different banks in other regions of the world and stuff. So let me just expand the borders of your question and say, you can get an assessor job for many different industries. You don't have to be an American citizen. You don't have to be a green card holder. But if you know the knowledge, you can get these jobs. How do you find them? What do you do? What you're going to do is you're going to go to Indeed.com. You're going to go to Dice.com. You're going to go to that whatever country that you're trying to do. Like there's a hierarchy of job sites that you can go to. Like if you happen to be in India, they have a top 5 job sites that you can go to. If in the US, it's Monster, Dice, LinkedIn, Indeed. There's other ones, CareerJet. There's hundreds. There's hundreds and thousands of ones, but those are the ones that I just mentioned are the ones you want to put your resume on. And then what you want to do is put keywords that you are an assessor. Put all of your assessor skills on there. Anytime you assessed a policy or procedure, anytime you ran a scan using Nessus or whatever, Qualys or whatever scanner you use. Talk about your wireless experience doing assessments on that. Talk about your physical security assessments. Put all that on your resume, and then you will get picked up by different organizations and agencies. So that's how you do it. Now, if you are interested in this, if you're very serious, check out my resume. You can download it for free. Check in link in bio. You can actually go to convocourses.com. It's there, and download my resume. You'll see an example of how you should write your ATS style resume. An ATS style stands for application tracking software, and it's a very simplified breakdown, but the way you word it and the keywords is really the content inside of it is really what's going to get you those jobs. Another thing you can do is check out my book. I have a book. If you go to I don't know, it's all over. It's on Barnes and Noble. It's on I want to say it's on Apple. It's on Amazon. Wherever your favorite book place is, type in cyber security jobs marketing, and then my book will come up, and it walks you through exactly what I've been doing for the last 20 years to get tons and tons of more jobs than I know what to do with. And you don't have to be an American citizen. You don't have to be a green card holder. You don't even have to be in cybersecurity. The techniques I'm teaching you will get you a job. It will get you a job. I don't know what kind of job is going to get you. I can't guarantee where it's going to get you that job. I can't guarantee that you're going to like the job or it's going to pay you 6 figures, but it will get you a job. It will get you opportunities to get a job. So hope that helps. Can I ask, like, what's the pay grade of getting into cybersecurity? Yes. So let me show you some facts. I'm getting so many questions, guys. I'm not going to get to all these questions, but I'll do my best. Let me kind of speed through these to let me show you my screen first of all. Cybersecurity jobs. Bear with me here while I switch my screen. Cybersecurity job. Look at this Chat GPT right here. This is dope. So there's this plugin. Put you guys on some quick crazy game. That Chat GPT is merged with your search results. This is fire right here. I'm gonna talk all about this stuff. Anyway, I got sidetracked. Let me see here. Let me show you my screen on TikTok. Here it is right here. So this is Google. All right, this is Google right here. And all I did was type in cybersecurity jobs. And what we're going to do is there's a ton of jobs you can get right here, by the way. And not all of them require experience, but you got to have the knowledge. Anyway, we're not talking about that. You ask me, what's the salary? Let me show you. So there it is right there. That's the entry-level salary for a entry-level cybersecurity person. Not bad, huh? Not bad for a start. This is why people want to get in this field. And look at that. Yep, that's true. These are facts. Yeah. And actually, I make a lot more than that. So it's real. It's the learning curve is there, but yeah. Hope that answers your question. Let me see. I'm going to answer another TikTok. Let me kind of get through these TikTok questions. I'm getting so many, guys. I'm trying to answer them as thoroughly as I can, but I'm getting so many. Do you have a course? I'm going to do a speed run through these and see if I can get through all of them. Do you have a course? And where can I find it? Yes, I have a course. It's on convocourses.com. And you can also check in my link in bio, link in description, and then you can access my course. I've got free stuff, free downloadables. I got paid courses. I've got payment plans, all that kind of stuff that you can get in. And if you're a paid student, I will answer your questions directly. I don't know how long I can do that, but right now is a golden opportunity to talk to somebody who's in the inside directly. I can tell you exactly how to do all the stuff I'm doing. Okay, next question. Which contact email is best for viewers? Contact email is contact@convocourses.com. I would love your podcast. Love listening. And I love your podcast. If you guys didn't know, I have a podcast. It's called Convo Courses Podcast. And everything this live, us interacting like this, me talking to you guys, that goes on this podcast. And sometimes I'll do just some crazy extra podcast out of nowhere that doesn't end up on these lives. So check out my podcast. It's on Podbean. Just go to Google, type in Convo Courses Podcast. You'll find it. All right. What are your thoughts on SANS Institute courses? SANS is OTS, officially the shit. That's what we used to call it in the Air Force. It is awesome. SANS is incredible. SANS has some of the best cybersecurity analysts I've ever seen in my life. They've got this course called the GCIA, which produces some of the best analysts I've ever seen. It's incredible. I love SANS courses. I've always wanted to take them. They're a little bit too expensive for me, so I'm waiting for a company to pay for one of them. But their GPen is dope. Their GCIH is dope. Their GCIA is dope. SANS is incredible. It's one of the best and top certifications that you can get in IT, especially in cybersecurity. Hands down, one of the dope. And it's an open book. Check this out. SANS has open book tests. Now, the first time I heard this, I was like, how does that even work? So I love how the thinking behind this is brilliant. So what they do is I think you have to take their labs, or you got to take it's expensive because you got to buy all their material. I believe it's literally like $5,000 or $6,000. It's very expensive, but you get all of their course material, and then you got to go through it. And it's open book. So they're saying, like, if you understand it enough, you know where to go in their source material. And anytime you're in cybersecurity anyway, you've got to do research on it. You have to go to Google. You have to read a book. You have to resources. There's too much information for us to know right off the top of our head to do anything without some kind of reading the effing manual. So a lot of times, like if I'm doing Splunk, for example, I have to Google it. I have to Google what command I use to find the most recent person in a certain part of our department who has misauthenticated 15 times in 30 seconds. Like, I don't know that off the top of my head. Some people do. But then I have to know, okay, what kind of firewall rules on a Palo Alto system do we need to have in place for this federal regulation? Like, am I going to know that off the top of my head? No. So you got to research. So SANS Institute, they say it's an open book test, and you got to buy all the material, and then you're going through it. And that's how you get the certification. It's incredible. And the people who I've worked with who are SANS graduates, who have the SANS certifications, nobody can F with these guys. Nobody can. Not a CISSP, not a CCNP, these guys really knew what the hell they were doing. And they didn't have a book in front of them. They just knew stuff off the top of their head because that's how people learn, I think. So SANS is incredible. I just went off on a tangent there. So let me answer questions faster. All right. Tom says A+. Okay, I already read that one. Okay, I read that one. Green card holder, read that one. WGU is a good one. Very economical prices. I agree with that. Prevail Fire Prayer says, can I get a company that trains me? Can I get a company that trains me? There's tons of companies that train you. I would start off, Prevail. I would start off, if I were you, because if you go to a company that's going to train you on this, it's going to be pretty expensive. But what you want to do to start, I'm not telling you don't do it. You should at some point. It's great. But I would start off with, especially if you're new to this, go to YouTube and look for some free courses. Go to courses that are under $200 and start there. See if you even want to do this. Start off there. Then once let's say you go through the whole course and you're like, I want more. Buy a book. $20-$30. Buy a book, go through the whole book, start learning. You got to see if this is something you want to do, right? If this is something you want to do, then you can start saying, okay, I need a degree. And here's another thing. If you start off from the YouTube, from a $200 course, if you start off like that, if you're in another industry and you're trying to come in from scratch, it's going to start to guide you on the right direction. It's going to tell you what certifications to get. It's going to be like, okay, if you're at this level, get an A+. If you're at this level, or they might be like, nah, don't mess with the A+. It's a waste of your time. Go do this certification. You'll start to get guidance from different subject matter experts on this. And you'll start to know what direction you want to go, whether you want to get a degree. You might even want to go get a degree and not even mess with one of these boot camps. You might even want to do that. And I personally would not recommend a boot camp. I would recommend going to college instead, personally, because you can go to a boot camp from college. Okay, let me answer some more questions. All right, here's another one. How do you carry out step 3 implementation step? I'm struggling with that. Easy peasy, baby. So step 3 of the risk management framework process is, okay, step 0 is prepare. Step 1, I guess, would be prepare. Step 2 would be, well, step 0 would be prepared. That's like making sure everybody knows what's going on, talking to the stakeholders, make sure everybody knows what's about to happen in this 837 process. Step 1 is categorization, security categorization. What category do we have for this particular system? Is it a high, a moderate, or a low system? And then step 2 is selecting the controls. Like, what control families do we need to put on the system to secure it? And then step 3, which is your question, Brandon, is how do we implement those controls? We know what classification of controls. We have the set of security controls we need to put on it. Now, how do we implement it? There's a few ways. Number 1, the vendor. If you happen to be in a Microsoft system, a server, a workstation, whatever, the vendor is going to be one of the best places to go for best security practices. Another one is STIGs, Security Technical Implementation Guides from DISA, which is the Department of Defense. Those guys have one of the best implementation guides out there. It's very thorough, and it walks you through everything you need to do from the DoD's perspective. So that's another one. Another one is the organization's own policy. The organization will usually have their own policies on what is supposed to be on there. They should have some sort of a baseline, where a baseline meaning here's a set of rules that you need to put on every endpoint system. That's your laptops and workstations. Every server needs to have these security controls on it. Every web server needs to look like this. So those are 3 of the main places you're going to go for implementation of security controls. I hope that helps. So, and normally you're going to rely on your subject matter experts. As an information system security, as an information system security officer person, as a GRC policy person, we're not the subject matter experts on actually implementation of the controls. This is actually one of the easiest things to do, because we are guiding them through the process. We're not the people normally putting the security controls on the systems. Because think about it, you got firewalls, you got routers, switches, you've got workstations, servers, you got different operating systems. We need subject matter experts on each one of those things, so they implement it. We just guide them through. We just say, hey, here's the STIGs, here's what we need on it. Here's the vendor's guides on how to do this particular patch. That's what we do. I hope that answers your questions. Let me speed through these. Let me see. I'm going to speed through these. I'm going to try to get through more of these as I can here. I've got a lot of questions, and I'm trying to keep up with everybody. So can you work without a degree? Yes, you can in cybersecurity, and you're going to start off with information technology. You would go to Indeed.com or LinkedIn or Dice, and then what you want to do is look for IT, and then search for entry-level positions with no experience. That's one thing you can do. Or you can say, if you have, let's say you have 5 years of experience in IT, but you want to do cybersecurity. So then you would go to Dice, Monster, LinkedIn, whatever, type in what job you want. Let's say it's cybersecurity, and then look for entry-level positions. Or you can look for a position that's not entry-level with no degree. These are all filters that you can do on Indeed, on Monster, on LinkedIn, on all of the main top job search aggregators. The answer is yes. One thing that you have to have, though, is the knowledge. Let me see. Criminal justice and cybersecurity. Is criminal justice and cybersecurity a good combination? That's exactly the degrees I have. I've one in criminal justice because I used to be a police officer in the Air Force, and then I have one for IT, not cybersecurity. But the combination allows you to, well, for one thing, it's pretty good for physical security. So physical security is kind of where it helps. It also helps with jobs in data forensics, because a lot of data forensics and data forensics that work for like Department of Justice or any kind of investigative type units, you're going to have to know a little bit of laws and law enforcement. It's really good to know like chain of custody and what, like, the laws are really important. And I give you a specific example very quickly. So when I was in the Air Force, we had somebody who was doing, we're just doing our normal job in IT, right? And we're fixing computers and everything throughout the unit. And we happen to find somebody with CP on their computer. I can't even say the word, but you can figure out what I'm talking about. We found CP on this person's computer, which is illegal. Okay. And the law enforcement has to be involved. So now the law enforcement side of me kicks in, and I'm like, okay, let's stop what we're doing and let's go contact Air Force OSI, Office of Special Investigations, because they're the only ones who can handle. There's 3 things that they handle: murders, terrorists, and CP. Okay. Now I'm sure by now you know what CP is. That was on this guy's computer. So we had to shut this guy's computer down, and we had to chain of custody, make sure that it goes straight from us to the Office of Air Force, the Office of Special Investigations, and then they took it from there. And then they were asking us questions. Like, we had to fill out reports and stuff and say where it came from. We had to collect everywhere this person went on the internet, because it turns out they were going to sites at work, which is, who does that? So it's crazy, but that's what happened. So does it help you? Yes. So sometimes cybersecurity ties into those just criminal justice and all kinds of stuff. So it can help. My last semester of school in networking. Congrats. Honestly, I'm learning. Honestly, everything I've learned can be found on YouTube. Absolutely everything. I wouldn't say not everything, not every. Most of the basic stuff can be found on YouTube. Once you start getting specialized, YouTube can't help you anymore. That's when you go to a guy like me, or you'll Google something and my face will pop up and I'll be talking about it. So almost everything, is on YouTube. Actually studying contract law and criminal justice, it can actually help you. You'd be surprised. I've been surprised a couple times. What's the average salary of somebody who configures and wires up devices? You talking about a network engineer? Back end, I don't know if you're still on here, but if you're talking about network engineers make, let's go to the handy dandy Google. So a network engineer salary. So starts off in Colorado, if it depends on where you're at in the world, but Salary.com and Glassdoor puts it in around 60,000 on average, 60,000 to begin, and upwards of, depending on how complex you get, 170,000. So network engineers can make quite a bit, but starting off, it's going to be around 60,000, I'd say 59, 60,000, something like that. I got a Security Plus. How much can I make a year entry level? So entry level depends on, again, salary really depends on the state you're in, the company you work for. If I had to guess, it's for an entry level Security Plus person. Let me see how accurate I am. So live. Security Plus entry level really depends on how, let's say entry level, let's say you have a year of experience in the state, let's say state of Colorado, you would probably pull down around 50 to 60. It would be right around what you would make as an entry level network person. So let me see if I'm correct. Let's look up a salary of a Security Plus salary entry level. Entry level. Now, there's a lot of caveats. Yeah, 58,000 is what's coming up on Google. That's a good guess. That's a good guess. But honestly, it really depends on a lot of things. It depends on what you're bringing to the table as far as your experience level. It depends on what state you're in, because some states will pay you way higher. It depends on what organization you're in. If you have absolutely no experience, you're probably not going to make 50,000, so because absolutely no experience is different from entry level. Let me see. Criminal justice and cybersecurity is a good combination. Yes, I agree with that. How would you describe your cybersecurity life? I'm a beginner and beginner and getting into this field. How would you describe your cybersecurity life? I'm a beginner getting into this field. It's been a mixture, and it depends on what organization I go to. If I'm being completely honest with you guys, it's really been a mixture. I've been places that were very, very stressful. I've been places that were work from home, but very, very stressful. I've been at places that were work from home with no stress at all, and were paying me $80 an hour. And that, it was incredible, but it was a part-time job. And then I've been at places that was a mixture. And those are my favorite ones because the pay is pretty average. I'm making six figures. However, I'm working from home. I'm doing my job. It's a little bit stressful. So it's really depends on what organization a lot of it depends on the organization's morale, how they treat their people, what their benefits are, and the atmosphere of the organization. I know it sounds like a cop-out, but I'm just telling you the truth. It really is dependent on where I'm at and the atmosphere of the company, if they treat their people right. Sometimes the company I'm working for does not have a good relationship with the government, and then the government treats us really bad. I've been at a place like that. Is the most stressful environment, one of the most stressful environments outside of war that I went to, because they really treated us bad. I mean, really, really bad. But we were getting paid pretty good, and we were riding out the contract or whatever. And at the end, they just cut off the contract and let all of us go. Ridiculous. So that was a very stressful job. Another place I worked at was private sector. Private sector was incredible because I worked with a team of very elite people. It was very rewarding. It really challenged me and pushed my limits. And then they were teaching us, and we would rely on one another. It felt like a real team atmosphere. It was great. I worked at Verizon at that time. However, I had very difficult customers, and at the time, I don't know, I had a lot of stuff going on, so I had to quit that job. So it depends. I would say overall, there's usually some level of stress with cybersecurity, but it pays really good. And there's been some jobs where I've been able to travel all over the place. I've been able to travel different places in the world while I'm working, making crazy money and stuff. So I would say overall, it's great, but there is some level of stress. And if you can't handle, if you don't have, I say emotional intelligence, I wouldn't do cybersecurity. Let me see. If you are More policy, it's 8 to 5. If you are vulnerability incident response, it's more like 724. Yeah, that's another great point that a couple of people are bringing, that sea turtle mining is bringing up. It depends on the job too, like the position. So I've done vulnerability. Well, I've done security operations center, which the stress was not in the work. The stress was the hours. We were working shift work. So I really don't like shift work, and we're in a skiff. So it, for me, like, the work was easy and it was fun because we're cracking looking at packets and stuff, and like finding breaches and trying to find incidents to respond to. That was really fun to learn do that stuff. But I was in a skiff working 12-hour shifts. I hate shift work. So that's a whole different sector. And then I work information system security officer, where I'm just doing documentation. And that really depends on what organization I'm working for and what the atmosphere is like. I've done work from home jobs where it's a part-time job. They just pay me a whole bunch of money and just do this work, get it done. That's kind of my favorite. But at the same time, it's very volatile because they just got this giant contract that only lasts for 2-3 months. And then they pay me a whole bunch of money, and then that's it, So it kind of depends on what's going on. Let me see. Okay, I'm getting the same questions over and over again. All right, back to YouTube. Let me see if I can answer a couple of these questions. So where do you start as a junior information system security officer? Where do you start? Let me show you where you would start as a junior information system security officer. You would start off with this document called the NIST 800-37. It's not a bad read. It's not too bad. You don't have to read it cover to cover, but this document right here is going to tell you the framework of what you need to know. It's going to tell you this right here is what you want to pay attention to. Let me take you to the breakdown of everything you need to do here. Here it is right here. This right here, these steps is what you really need to know. Prepare, categorize, select, assess, authorize, and monitor the controls. Because that's basically what you're doing in a nutshell with information system security officer work. The next thing you want to do besides reading this document is a document called the NIST 853. NIST 853 is all the security controls. NIST 853. Now, this stuff is all freely available. Like, you can go ahead and read all this stuff for yourself. The challenge is the way they word it. Sometimes it's just it's not accessible to everyone. Not everybody speaks this language. Not everybody speaks academia. And me, I understand it because I've been doing it so long. So when they're saying things, I'm like, oh, you mean, I'm relating it back in my mind to actual things I've done, because I've been doing this since I was 19 years old. You know what I mean? So let me see. Let me show you my screen over here on TikTok, so I don't leave you guys behind here. So this is this is NIST 853. This is all the security controls in all the families. And this is security best practices, by the way. So this is stuff that everybody is supposed to do in their organization. And these things you don't have to read this whole book. This is a very long book, a very long publication, but if you understand the different families and kind of what each family is doing, you'll have a good understanding of what's supposed to happen in your organization. So I would say this is a very good first start. Now, if you are trying to, if you want to understand this from a layman's perspective, you can check out my book, which is RMF ISO NIST 853. This is on Amazon. It's on Barnes & Noble. It's on wherever you buy books. It's going to be there. This is an audio version of it. Like, I'm trying to make it more accessible to everybody. But this is a good first start for you to break down what you need to know. This is perfect for a brand new ISO, by the way. That this is where you should probably check out as a new person. And I'm somebody who's been in an ISO for a very long time, on and off, and I've done different aspects of cybersecurity. So I'm speaking from the perspective of somebody who's doing this and not from academia, not from, this is not like abstract. This is stuff I literally am doing now. So, for major departments of the government. So I can tell you what's going on. From the perspective of a network engineer, your configurations better be on point. LOL. Yeah, actually, that's true. Let me see. Green card holder. How do I get in? I think I already answered that one. TS Special Access Program. That's the thing that, yeah, I know all about that. This is what I used to do. They've renamed it. Joint Special Access Program Implementation Guide. Yes. So that's based on the NIST 853, huh? All right. Good to know. Good to know. Thank you guys for the likes. I appreciate it. Let me see. He has been on live for an hour answering questions. Yeah. Yes. All right. I've answered. Wait, I have more questions? Oh, my Lord. Wow. This is crazy. This is crazy. This is wild. Here is a site to better understand where the CERT alphabet soup is for experts. Okay. Thank you, Tom. Thanks for all your help, Tom. I appreciate that. PCI DSS. I don't know what that's in relation to. For a green card holder, how can I get a security control assessor job or ISO? So I think I already answered this one, so I'll leave that one. Leave that one alone. Study the NIST 800, John. Yes, we already talked about that. You have to live cybersecurity, IT, none of that nonsense, social media. Just read up on IT. So this is a great point. So social media can only take you so far, especially TikTok. No offense to TikTok and the Chinese people. The People's Republic of the CCP, I should say, not Chinese people. The CCP, who owns TikTok and ByteDance and all that kind of stuff. But social media can only take you so far. And what I mean by that is, at some point, like he's saying, is you have to crack open a book, and because it just goes way deeper than what you can get off of social media. And the books that you need to do is NIST 800. If you're trying to do, it depends on what you're trying to do, So if you're trying to do risk management framework, if you're trying to do GRC for the government, you're talking about NIST 837, NIST 853. If you're trying to be an assessor, it's NIST 853A. It's NIST 800-115, which is the methods for doing assessments. So, and then networking is a whole nother ballgame, but that's a whole nother set of books and a whole nother set of security controls and stuff that you need to know if you're doing a network security engineering or whatever. At some point, you gotta. This is great for like getting you in the direction you need to go, but at some point, you're gonna have to take a very deep dive into all this stuff and really dive deep. It's going to be a one-on-one conversation between you and the content. It's not so, unless if you're in a group and somebody's helping you out, but even then, at some point, you got to get off, you got to unplug, and you've got to read a book. You've got to, this is not for, the great thing about reading and going deeper in this content is that the deeper you go, the less competition you have. Because not everybody's willing to unplug. Not everybody's willing to take the time to learn it. Not everybody has the patience to learn what you need, where you need to go. It's a very personal journey, and a lot of people focus on the prize. Here's another thing: you don't focus on the prize, the certification, the degree, all that kind of. I'm not saying don't get it. You should get a degree or certification or whatever. That's great. It shows people what you know. But the journey is what you got to focus on. It's the journey. If you walk your path, then nobody can tell you anything because you know it. And when you take that certification, that's just one step. I mean, it's one step in the right direction, but it's just, don't focus on the fruits, focus on the whole orchard. The orchard, like you are maintaining an entire orchard of fruits that this path is going to give you. You know what I mean? Like, don't focus on just the cert. And this goes for life as well. Like, don't just focus on like what you can get, the reward. Like, focus on the journey. That's what this life is all about. So it's about the journey. Like, the journey is what we have to enjoy. Like, we have to take every step, even the pain of going forward, putting one foot in front of the other. And at the end, like, if you focus on your journey, if you focus on the one step in front of the other and learning everything you need to do, at some point you look back and you have all these fruits. You don't have just one. You don't have just CISSP. You don't have just, you have a whole bunch of stuff. And it's been the journey that that was worth it. Like, the journey is its own reward. So focus on the journey. Don't focus on the fruits that it bears. I mean, it's been something that it took me a long time to learn that, but that's that's hell of a lesson to learn. So especially if you're a younger person, a lot of times, like, it's easy to get caught up in what's next, especially with social media and TikTok. Like, you're constantly getting these dopamine hits of like, yeah, what's next? Like, sliding, going through, sliding stuff. But the journey of life, the pain, the pleasure, the joy, the learning on your own, that path that you walk by yourself, that is what life is. It's not social media, man. It's not. That being said, let me answer some more questions from social media. All right, let me see here. JP, thanks for all the lessons here. Appreciate that. Wow, there's a lot of people just teaching on this live. That's great. Thank you, JP. JP says, wait, let me see. Oh, it was a conversation talking about POAMs, plan of action and milestones. I could talk all day about those things. Oh, there's some confusion between a POAM and the preparation phase, I guess. JP says a POAM is nothing but a list of problems an organization has. The planning in POAM means, what does the organization plan to do to fix the issue? Okay, so there was some mix up between step 0. Somebody said risk management framework, step 0, preparation step is to help avoid issues. That's JP. I get you, but POAM is actually a negative from the SCA or ISO's perspective. Yeah. Let me see. What was the original statement here? JP, preparation is planning. POAM, plan of action and milestone to get the stakeholders on the same page. Okay. So I get what happened here. So we're talking about the risk management framework. I just put my 2 cents on it. So risk management framework process is it's prepare, it's categorize the security controls, and then it's selecting the security controls, is implementation of security controls, is assessment of the security controls once they're in, and then there's authorization of the security controls, and then it's continuously monitoring the controls that you've put in place and that you've assessed, so that you can control the security posture of the organization. So plan of action and milestone is one of the tools you use in that process. It's a part of the process. It's a symptom of the process, but it's not just prepare or assessing or implementation. So I kind of agree. I agree with JP here. He's saying a POAM is actually a negative thing from the SC. I wouldn't say negative. I wouldn't use that word. I would say it's a necessary evil that we have to deal with. Because if you couldn't fix the problem, you have to do what's called a POAM, a plan of action, a milestone, which they suck. That's for sure. And essentially, it's like it's something like you're saying, okay, we can't fix this thing now, but we're gonna fix it within 6 month time frame, and then we're gonna have milestones to fix it. That means a POAM means more meetings. It's gonna keep coming back. You didn't fix the problem. And then meanwhile, other POAMs are coming in. So here's another POAM and another POAM and another POAM. And that's more meetings. Every POAM is more meetings, more interactions you got to have with all these other people to get this thing fixed, because each one of those POAMs has 4 or 5 different plans of action and milestones that you got to do. So it's something you have to have, and it's a part of the whole process, and they're definitely a pain in the ass. That's for sure. I hate POAMs. I hate POAMs. Because a POAM means meetings. Okay, let me see. I'm going to answer as many questions as I can on TikTok and YouTube. Somebody said, I passed my ISC2 cybersecurity. Oh, the ISC2 in cybersecurity. That's great. Congrats. I don't think that cybersecurity is an endpoint. We all learn because it's constantly changing. Do you plan on ever starting a risk management framework program to teach people online? I already do have one. If you go to convocourses.com, you can find it there. There's lots of entry level. There's lots of free stuff, and I probably will do one for everybody, like a GRC course for everybody. I got to see what people think about that. I'm not sure what you guys would like. I got to figure out what people want to learn, because there's so many different things. I could teach PCI DSS. I could teach HIPAA. I could teach ISO 27001. I could do a entry level of all GRC, which is what I'm thinking about doing. But right now, if you happen to be a NIST 800 person, if you happen to be in GRC for government, I've got a course already to teach people. And it's especially for people who are just got into this and don't know what the hell to do, because that's what happened to me. I was kind of thrown into GRC stuff. I was just thrown into it. And I was like, what the hell is this? And I had to start off by reading the actual federal laws, which is a pain in the ass to do, because it doesn't make sense. It's just like all lawyer speak, because a bunch of lawyers wrote it, and it's just hard to do. So I just, the NIST 800 kind of walks you through it, but even that is kind of like written for academia. So anyway, there's a course out there to help you. It's something that I wish I would have had when I first started. If you go to convocourses.com, you can find it there. Do you do mentoring? I do not have time to do mentoring. This is the best I can do so far. I have a full-time job. It's pretty stressful. And between that and writing books and stuff, I just don't have time to do mentoring. I wish I did. People are always asking me for it. People are willing to pay me for it, but it'd have to be, I don't know what amount of money I have to do to put myself through that kind of pain of doing mentoring. Maybe one day when I have more time, I'll do like more one-on-one type mentoring. But right now, the best I can do is this right here. So if you have any questions whatsoever, if you happen to buy my course, I'll answer questions directly, one-off questions, but mentoring where we're meeting once a week or something, and I'm telling you this and that, I've kind of done it a little bit, but not at this time. I have a job. I have a full-time job. I'm a single father. I just do not have time for it. Any good resource for understanding, interpreting network diagrams? Oh man, does anybody? I don't, off the top of my head, have any place where you can go to learn network diagrams. Does anybody else? I bet you somebody on this live has information on this. If you guys have one, I'll talk about it here and I'll show it. But I don't, off the top of my head, I don't know. I don't have one. The Cisco.com. When I was a network engineer, Cisco has some really good resources actually for basic networking. Cisco.com has some really good stuff on basic networking, network diagrams, how to build Visio diagrams and stuff. They have something, but there might be a better one. So if anybody has one, I'll talk about it on here. Let me see here. I'm trying to get through questions. LinkedIn Profile 1+. Let me see. What other questions do I have here? I'm scrolling through, trying to get through some of these. I have 100 people. Oh my Lord, this is a lot. Holy crap. This is a lot. I've got over 100 comments here. There's no way I'm going to answer all of these. Oh man. Okay, I'm going to go down to the bottom of the list here. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate everybody's questions, but there's too many. As a developer, I never understood cybersecurity. As a developer, I never understood cybersecurity. They seem to know everything, including development. So my experience coding with Kiko, as a cybersecurity person, I don't know everything, and that's why I lean on the subject matter experts, which is you guys. All I know is the regulations. I just know what we're supposed to do. Like for developers, I know that we have in NIST 800, we have something called is it SA controls? We have SA controls, which is security. It's acquisition controls, and what it forces us to do it's coming from the federal government, and they're telling us, hey, if you're going to develop software, what you need to do is make sure that only software developers and people who need it can access the libraries, because if you can corrupt the libraries, right? So we have to make sure the organization as a whole has some method of protecting the software libraries, the DLL files. And so nobody gets in there and messes around with it. We got to make sure that you're not going to GitHub and pulling in some code that has malicious code in it. So it's going to corrupt our infrastructure. So I don't know. I don't claim to know everything. I've got to reach back to you guys as subject matter experts to say, okay, well, what libraries do we have? Because I don't know. You're the subject matter expert on that. Now, okay, how can we secure it? I know that we can secure it like this. We can have a role where only software developers access this particular folder and file or server that has the DLL or the libraries on it. We can do stuff like that. So that's one of the things that we can do. And another thing is, do we have a change management process? Do we have a configuration management process that includes the software developers? For software developers, I need to know, and see, this is not, a lot of people kill the messenger. You guys, the software developers, the network engineers, we really get it from all sides. The system administrators, they hate our guts, but we're just the messenger. We're just telling you what the industry standards is saying that we need to do. We're just the messenger, and I think that sometimes our approach, sometimes some cybersecurity people's approach is bad. They come in like they know everything. They come in there like they're the police or something, and they don't know how to de-escalate situations. They don't have emotional intelligence. So they come at you like wrong. They come at you like they know everything and you have to do this, and their egos get involved and stuff. But that's not how we should, the way to be about this is to tell you in context what we're supposed to do and what our organization, this has to do to protect ourselves from a breach, from a data breach, from insider threats, because we're seeing things that you might not be privy to. We're seeing things like people leaking code to our competitors. We're seeing that. We're seeing stuff on the dark web. We're seeing your email address on the dark web. That's what we're seeing. So it's understandable how some cybersecurity people get in a panic about it, because we're seeing stuff that you guys don't see that can affect all of us. It can affect our bottom line. It can affect our money. It can affect your personal security, because that's what we're seeing. So sometimes the cybersecurity people are very panicky and you shouldn't be in this field. You got to have more patience. You got to have empathy. I got to see things from your perspective as a coder, because I'm just trying to protect our interest as a company. I'm trying to limit our risk, because I'm seeing your code on the dark web. I'm seeing why? Now we have to figure out why that is as a cybersecurity person. So there's certain things that if we do basic things, we won't have incidents like what happened with Uber. I don't know if you heard about this, but Uber got freaking hacked. Like Twitter's getting hacked. Like usually this stuff happens because organizations are not doing basic things that they're supposed to do that are preventable. So we just need to make sure that the DLL files are protected. All DLL files, our libraries, our code libraries are protected. Our system files are protected. We got to make sure that we're doing change management. We got to make sure that we're doing documentation on the code, like you're writing code, but there's comments in there so that if you leave the organization, somebody else comes in, they can say, okay, I see what they did here when they're reading their comments about whatever you are coding. So I hope that it gives some perspective on cybersecurity, like what our role is to you, and not like confusing it with some people's attitude about it, like they want to be all up in your business or like they know everything or something. Let me let you in on a little secret. Most cybersecurity people, they only know cybersecurity. They don't know how to code. Because we can't know everything. We can't be the firewall expert. And I mean, some people are. I met some polymaths in cybersecurity who literally do know almost everything. Like some piece of everything, literally not everything, but they know some piece of everything, and they can code, they can do firewalls, they can do most guys are not like that. Most people, they know a little bit, they have to know a little bit. Normally it's coming from the actual organization's policies and stuff. So let me see. How can I learn cybersecurity, computer science, and other things for tech? And I'm in high school, for the tech industry in high school. I've gotten this question before, and if you look through my TikTok, I've got a TikTok specifically for high schoolers. What I would do if I was in high school right now, there's a couple of things that are really hot. One of which is cybersecurity, one is cloud computing, and one is AI. So what I would do is I would do projects surrounding one of those things. It's super beneficial to know the basics and become a geek yourself. What I mean by that is fix your own computer, fix your own network, mess around with the configuration settings on your laptop or your phone. Know how to do stuff. Take the time to know how to do it. Be a geek and a nerd and just obsess over it. Watch technical videos about it. There's so much content out there for you that you don't even have to pay nothing. You don't have to pay no money to start learning, because you have your own computer, your own network, your own infrastructure right now that you can actually start learning this stuff in high school, mind you. But another step that you can do is join a club within high school. If the high school has some sort of a club for hacking, join it. If they have a computer, we used to have like something where a bunch of nerds would get together and we would just build systems, or we'd bring our computers in and like build a computer to get, like this person had this computer, and we'd have these projects where we're actually building it. And that's one of the best ways to learn, especially in high school, because I have these clubs where you can actually do that together. Another thing you can do is if you have a college prep course that goes into the introductions to computers, do that. That's another really great way to start learning it. Right now, what you want to do is try to absorb as much information as possible, not just cybersecurity, any kind of industry in information technology. Somebody said TryHackMe is a good site and a good resource for learning cybersecurity. Absolutely. I was actually going to mention that. There's TryHackMe, and there's another one that Hack the Box is another one. This is a site that you can go to and actually learn pen testing, and it teaches you by doing. So that's one of the best ways to learn. There's tons of tools, tons of free resources that you can use right now to actually do it and learn it right now in high school. But college prep courses is another really good place to start, because you're going to be getting a leg up on everybody. And those college prep courses have credits that will help you if you choose to go to college. That'll be a college credit that you can use going to college. And then once you get in college, you can do work student programs that some will pay you while you're getting experience. And then what you want to do with that is put a resume out on LinkedIn, on monster.com, on dice.com, and tell them your experience level. And then you'll start getting job offers. And you can do all of that while you're in school, to be honest with you. So that's what I would do if I were you. Is cybersecurity, is Is cybersecurity a hard degree to pursue? I think it depends on the degree itself and the curriculum, because there's many kinds of cybersecurity degrees. I myself do not have one. I have an information technology degree. You don't, and that's another thing, is if you're trying to get in this field, you don't have to have a cybersecurity degree, which is crazy. You don't have to have one. So cybersecurity contracts, a lot of times they're looking for STEM. That's science, technology, engineering, mathematics. If you have any one of those degrees, you can get yourself a six-figure job in this field. In the private sector, in the government sector, as a contractor in the private, as a contractor with the government, there's so many opportunities out there for you. So I just don't understand why more people don't do it. And it's recession proof. You hear about all these layoffs with Google and layoffs with Microsoft and all this panic and stuff about the stock market, about S&P 500 or whatever. I'm not worried about none of that stuff, to be honest with you. I am employed right now, and I actually was in between jobs, and I was not worried about a job at all because I do cybersecurity. And it's all because, like, if you really want it, you can have it. Let me see here. Got some more questions. How can I learn cybersecurity in high school? Can I learn? I already answered that one. Developer. He is reading YouTube chat. Yeah, I've got YouTube questions and comments. There's a whole conversation going on YouTube. This guy's next level for network cybersecurity. Oh, okay. The Professor Messer is a great study guide material. Look him up. This guy's next level for network cybersecurity. I hear a lot about Professor Messer. Yeah, check him out. It's very good for entry-level stuff. I believe some of his entry-level stuff is really, really good. I think he's on Udemy and stuff. Udemy and maybe a couple of other one of those training sites. Great for people who are trying to learn this from scratch. Let me see. What is your knowledge about PKI? Very little. I have a very rudimentary understanding of PKI. I am not a PKI expert. I do not know how to implement it. Public key infrastructure. That's about all I know. Now, I know a little bit about it. I know it's the levels of encryption for it. I know there's different kinds of vendors who provide PKI, but I cannot install it, to be honest with you, or anything like that. Somebody said, do you miss your hair? I haven't had hair since even when I had hair, I would just shave it off. Yeah, that's just me. So I don't. I wish my beard wouldn't grow. I hate beards. I just hate beards. Is programming a necessity for cybersecurity? No. Cybersecurity programming I don't know how to program. I make six figures. I work from home. I've been working from home since 2014, and I don't know how to program. I've taught myself to program before, but that was to make my own app. You remember that during that time when apps were blowing up and people were like making all this money on, remember Flappy Birds? So I was trying to do like my own, like a Flappy Birds, because people were making like $1 billion off of freaking Flappy Birds and stuff. That Vietnamese dude, I can't remember his name, but that dude was awesome. He made that Flappy Birds. I don't know if you guys remember this. Maybe I'm dating myself, but the dude who made Flappy Birds, he made like millions of dollars, and he coded that himself. And then there was like Iron Pants, and like my kids were telling me about all this stuff. My kids were like, hey, Dad, have you ever heard of Flappy Birds? I was like, what the hell is that? And then they said, look at it, here it is right here, and they showed me. I was like, oh, this is, and I was like, damn, this is kind of simple. And then I looked it up. I'm like, where is this? And the dude's a Vietnamese dude, made $1 million off some stuff he coded in his spare time. I was like, what am I doing? Why am I working in cybersecurity? So I started making my own program, and I made a couple. They sucked. I had to teach myself coding to make a program, and it was so bad. It took me 4 months to do, and it was so horrible. Had all these issues, and then so I just hired a coder to redo what I did, and they did what I did in like a week. And it was way better. And I'm like, damn, you know what? I don't think I should code. So yeah, do you have to know how to code? No. So none of the jobs that make six figures that I've been making six figures since 2009 or something. I've been working remotely since 2014, and I don't know how to code. There's been times when it would be nice for me to know like regex or something, but I'll just Google it. I'll be like, okay, what's the command to do this Splunk stuff? I was like, Google. Okay, let's type it, copy. Okay, there we go, right there. Boom. So you have to know how to program. Let me see. What would be the best industry to work in as a cybersecurity expert? Retail, mobile. Right now in this industry, that's a great question. Who is this? Rugali? I don't know how to pronounce your word, but that's a effing great question. So right now, because the economy is the way it is, retail is taking a hit. Any kind of IT organizations are taking a hit. Like all those people who are saying, I made 200,000, they're getting laid off, baby. Right now, I'm not happy about that. It's not cool, but but right now, the industries that are hot, that are still hiring, is the government, government jobs, critical infrastructure jobs are still hiring. Who else is still hiring? I'm always getting, mostly it's government and critical infrastructure, like that keep sending me different job opportunities. Contractors for those industries are contacting me. But right now, it's not good to be in. I can tell you ones that retail is probably not hot right now because nobody's really less people are buying right now. So great question. Let me see. How do you get in the door without coding experience? So I'll tell you a couple of them. Here's a couple. Don't judge. The military. The military is a great introduction without coding. Okay. And I know how you feel about that, but military is awesome if you really are trying to start out. Would I recommend it? I don't tell my kids to go into the military, to be honest with you, but because I was in the military, and it's just be advised, you can probably go to war. Like, and that shit's real. Like, it's not on TV, it's real. You don't want to go there. You do not want to go there. Another place you could start is without coding experience. If you are in college already and you're working on your science, technology, engineering, mathematics, any of those degrees, you can do an internship and an apprenticeship. If you're not going to the military, you're not going to college, the one thing you can do is start learning the knowledge, right? You're not exempt from knowing the basics of information technology. So what you need to do is learn the basics of information technology. That means you need to learn how computers work. You need to learn how packets are sent over a network. What's the difference between a WAN and a LAN? You don't need to know how to code, but you need to understand how programming and programs work. Like, that's what you need to know. You don't need to know Java or JavaScript or any of that stuff, SQL, but you need to know enough to know how it works, like what is going on. It's not magic. How's it working? You don't need to know like a breakdown of the mathematics of it, but you need to know how it works. One of the certifications I recommend people get, if you don't know anything, you're not a geek, nothing, you're starting off from scratch and you're not going to be coding, is CompTIA A+ certification. It's a great start because it's telling you all the basics. Once you get that knowledge base, then you can go ahead and apply for an entry-level position where they're going to teach you, like a job that doesn't require experience. They do exist. They don't pay very much, but that's where you want to start to get your foot in the door. And then you do that for about, 6 months to a year. You get that experience under your belt doing that, then you know it. Then what that's going to do is it's going to not only teach you how to do it and get you some experience, but it's going to broaden your horizons of what you can do. You might not even want to do cybersecurity. There's so many other fields and stuff in IT. Like there's network. You might just be really good at networking and then start doing that. Somebody in your department might be really good at database, and then they take you under their wing and start teaching you SQL. And then you start getting really good at that. There's so many branches that you can take once you get your foot in the door and start doing the actual work. You'll find like you're good at one or something, you'll be really good at one thing or the other. Somebody said, I want to get a bachelor's degree in cybersecurity. What should I do now to put me ahead? What you should do now, what I would do is start off, if let's say I don't know anything, I want to get a bachelor's degree. What I would do immediately is take on some sort of a project. I would do a website, create a website from scratch, learn some HTML, or maybe you want to start cloud engineering, do a cloud engineering project where you set up a server on the cloud, or build a computer from scratch, like get all the components, build your own gaming system, something you want to do, something that's in your lane, something that you like, you can be passionate about, like something you're going to get some use out of it when you do it. You can also do things like somebody mentioned it. There's TryHackMe. There's a site called TryHackMe. Go to Google, type in TryHackMe. It's a site where you can go and it'll teach you how to hack, like by doing it. There's one called Hack the Box, same thing. It's going to teach you how to hack by doing it. You can also learn coding. If you want to go the route of coding, you can actually learn coding right now. I would recommend Python or PHP for cybersecurity people. Very, very good to learn if you are a cybersecurity person. You don't have to learn it, but you said, where do you start to get ahead? Those things, your own project. What else could you do to start? No, I feel like I'm forgetting some stuff. But that's what I would do to start. I would start my own project and just get learning. And actually, you could just start doing stuff right now. You can do it on your system. You can download systems like programs like what is it called? Oh man, VMware. There's one called VMware. There's one called VirtualBox. And I'm sure I'm forgetting a couple of them. But you download that right to your computer, and then boom, you can actually build networks, start hacking systems on a virtual system that you set up and stuff. Those are great places to start before you even start your bachelor's degree. Okay, let me see. I'm going to YouTube. Somebody said, okay, there's a conversation going on here. YouTube. Thank you guys for all your questions. I really appreciate it on YouTube here. What are your favorite authors in cybersecurity to learn new categories in cybersecurity? There's a couple of resources, right, that I like. Some of the podcasts are really good. There's one called Security Now. Security Now is a really good one. I wish I have a book. I can't remember the dude's name, but there's a couple of God dang it! And I wish I had it with me. I don't have it, but I was learning CEH stuff, and this dude's a really great writer, and I cannot. Let me see if I can bring him up. So anyway, while I'm bringing this up, Security Now is a really good podcast from This Week in Tech. Those guys are really good. So that's a good place to try to mess around with. And what is that book called? CEH Certification. I know this is not in line with your question, but I just want to plug this dude because I like this book he wrote. It's really good. CEH. What is this dude's name? I can't remember his freaking name. I really like this book. Bear with me. I'm going to show you guys a pretty good CEH book. Wow, this internet's going pretty damn slow. Matt Walker, that's his name. This dude right here. This is one category of one of the many categories of cybersecurity dude, the way this guy writes, I like the way he writes and stuff. Really good book, highly recommended. Matt Walker, very informal way of writing, but he covers all the material. Good stuff. But your question was, what's an entry level person? An entry level, I mean, just if it's entry level, you can really just read anybody, really. I mean, you can just, if you entry level, man, for cybersecurity entry level, watch this, just cybersecurity, because it's all the same information, really. So it just really at that point, it's just like how they present the information. Cyber security introduction. I've been thinking about writing a book like this because it's kind of the same stuff. But this book right here, probably just any book really. It's been so long since I read these entry level books that I don't have a preference on it. You know what I mean? But just like this one, Cybersecurity for Dummies, like some just basic stuff. Because that in the beginning, you want any knowledge. You don't have to be picky about the knowledge. Just start learning. Start learning, and then from there you can get all picky about what you want to do or who you learn or how you learn it and all that kind of stuff. In the beginning, anything is good. Anything, all the best security practice stuff is good. I'm writing my CEH in about 2 months, and what advice would you give me for studying for it? To be honest, Rugali, I did not take the Security Plus. I mean the CEH. Sorry, I did not I would not take the CEH. I wanted to, but I've just been too busy. But advice, I mean, how I study, I mean, I would say is know your learning style. I would say my advice would be know your learning style. For me, writing things down really works for me. So what I'll do is I'll take notes. What I'll do is I'll take a piece of paper and then I'll like split it in half. I'll like fold it in half. And then on one side, I'll write the questions and on one side, I'll write the answers. And then when I'm done with the whole book, I summarize the whole book, like on basic stuff. It forces me when I'm writing down, it forces me to only stick with stuff I really need to know. And I'm really weak on like cryptography. It's just like, doesn't stick. So I normally have to study that stuff, the difference between, isometric and I'm probably brutalizing it. Symmetric and asymmetric cryptography. Like I don't like I don't know that stuff. So I have to write it down, the different kinds of, and then I'll study my notes when I'm done. I'll go through the whole book and then I'll study my notes when I'm done. And then I go start taking like 1,000 questions. There's a database of thousands of questions, randomized questions that people take out of the domains of CEH, and not brain dumps, because sometimes people put like fake stuff in there or whatever. I wouldn't mess with brain dumps, but I would just do a big ass questions and a big ass list of questions, like 1,000, 3,000 questions. And by the time you're done with all your notes, by the time you're done with all the questions and stuff, you'll be like, just give me the question. Let's give me the test. I got to get this stuff out of my head, and you'll pass for sure. What are some of the good books for SOC work? So for SOC works, some of the books that have been coming out is there's a CompTIA certification called CYSA Plus, and so that covers some of the basics you need to know for Security Operations Center. So that's a good one. Any knowledge base on that one? The best stuff to get, and I don't know how accessible it is. It's kind of going to be kind of expensive, but the GCIA has the best certifications for SOC work. The best, hands down, the best, the top, the most incredible certifications, and people who I've known who had them really knew their stuff. So I would highly recommend that stuff for Security Operations Center. GCIA, SANS GCIA. Let me show you what I'm talking about. got a security specialist position and mainly doing SOC work for phishing, alerts, and detection. Yeah. So probably let me just CompTIA. Let me show you what I'm talking about. This one called CYSA Plus, and this is training cybersecurity analysts to do this stuff. Let me show you what I'm talking about. And what's great about some of these certifications that people don't talk about is that they have a really good common body of knowledge. What I mean by that is there's certain things that you're supposed to know in these fields. There's certain things that they are expecting you to know in a SOC. There's certain things that they expect you to know in as a cybersecurity analyst. And these certifications cover all those domains. So if you know these things, it's going to help you out. There's the prices right there. It's not cheap, but they have instructor-led stuff. But you can just read the books on it, and the books will break down some of the stuff you need to know. But that's that one. And then there's one called, and this one's more steep, and it goes way, way deeper in the security stuff. But GCIA from SANS, this is probably the best premier stuff you can get. Pro level stuff right here. This is really deep stuff. But if you know this stuff, and this is not cheap, but if you can get your organization to pay for this, highly, highly, highly recommend it. Not cheap. It is an open book test, but my Lord, they're going to make you pay for this. So this is a very expensive course. This is one of them. It's going super deep in the packet, breaking down individual packets to see if you're being hacked and stuff. It's crazy deep. Another one is GCIA Incident Handler. Incident GCIH. That's what it is. GCIH. Let me see if I can find that one. There's GCIH Incident Handler. You have a security incident. What do you do for this one? This is another good one so that you can do. See the stuff that they're covering: password attacks, post exploitation attacks. They probably cover MITRE attack framework and endpoint attack and pivoting. So these are the things you need to know in a security operations center. But they got books on this. Like you can actually go to Amazon.com and then check out the book on it, and it's gonna break down all the stuff you need to know. So those are the things those are the certifications that will boil down all the main common body of knowledge you need to know for a security operations center. I used to be in the security operations center. It was fun. I learned a lot of stuff. I didn't like the shift work so much, but I like doing it. Yeah, no problem, man. I appreciate you asking the questions. All right, I think I've been talking for like 2 hours. And I'm gonna call it quits, guys. Thank you guys so much for asking your questions. I really TikTok is crazy. Like there's so many questions. There's like 100 different responses, and there's no way, I'm gonna be able to answer them all. But I really appreciate everybody who's joining. I'll do more of these. I'll try to do more of these throughout the week, especially on YouTube and on Facebook and stuff. So expect more content. If you want more, if you want to go deeper in this, convocourses.com. I'm also going to start a Discord. I actually have a Discord. I'm going to start introducing that. Join my newsletter. I'm talking to people constantly. It's not just these videos that are once a week. It's constant. I'm telling people jobs. I'm doing podcasts. There's all kind of communications going on. It's a community. So if you want to join this, go to convocourses.com, join my newsletter, go to podcast, Convocourses podcast, and I'm there. We're talking all the time. And then the Discord server I'm going to be introducing you guys to that real soon. All right. That's it, guys. Thank you for watching. I appreciate it. I don't know how the hell I got 50 people watching all of a sudden on TikTok, but I gotta cut this thing. My head's gonna explode. I got mouths to feed and stuff, so I gotta get the hell off this thing. But thanks a lot. Appreciate everybody. And that is it. Holy crap, that's a long one.